Chapter 18. The Yoga of Liberation through the Path of Knowledge and Self-Surrender. Arjuna said, O mighty armed Sri Krishna, O inner controller of all, O slayer of Keshi, I wish to know severally the truth of sannyasa as also of tyaga. Sri Bhagwan said, some sages understand sannyasa as the giving up of all actions motivated by desire, and the wise declare that tyaga consists in relinquishing the fruit of all actions. Some wise men declare that all actions contain a measure of evil and are therefore worth giving up, while others say that acts of sacrifice, charity and penance are not to be shunned. Of sannyasa and tyaga, first hear my conclusion on the subject of renunciation or tyaga. Arjuna, for renunciation, O tiger among men, has been declared to be of three kinds: sattvika, rajasika and tamasika. Acts of sacrifice, charity and penance are not worth giving up. They must be performed. For sacrifice, charity and penance, all these are purifiers to the wise men. Hence, these acts of sacrifice, charity and penance, and all other acts of duty too, must be performed without attachment and expectation of reward. This is my well-considered and supreme verdict, Arjuna. Prohibited acts and those that are motivated by desire should, no doubt, be given up, but it is not advisable to abandon a prescribed duty. Such abandonment out of ignorance has been declared as tamasika. Should anyone give up his duties for fear of physical strain, thinking that all actions are verily painful, practicing such rajasika form of renunciation, he does not reap the fruit of renunciation. A prescribed duty which is performed simply because it has to be performed, giving up attachment and fruit, that alone has been recognized as the sattvika form of renunciation. He who has neither aversion for action which is leading to bondage, nor attachment to that which is conducive to blessedness, imbued with the quality of goodness. He has all his doubts resolved, is intelligent and a man of true renunciation. Since all actions cannot be given up in their entirety by anyone possessing a body, he alone who renounces the fruit of actions is called a man of renunciation. Agreeable, disagreeable, and mixed, threefold indeed, is the fruit that accrues after death from the actions of the unrenouncing. But there is none whatsoever for those who have renounced. In the branch of learning known as Sankhya, which prescribes means for neutralizing all actions, the 5 factors have been mentioned as contributory to the accomplishment of all actions. Know them all from me, Arjuna. The following are the factors operating towards the accomplishment of actions, namely, the body and the doer, the organs of different kinds, and the different functions of manifold kinds. And the 5th is Daiva, latencies of past actions. These 5 are the contributory causes of whatever actions, prescribed or prohibited, man performs with the mind, speech, and body. Notwithstanding this, however, he who having an impure mind regards the absolute, taintless self alone as the doer, that man of perverse understanding does not view right. He whose mind is free from the sense of doership and whose reason is not affected by worldly objects and activities does not really kill. even having killed all these people, nor does any sin accrue to him. The knower, knowledge, and the object of knowledge, these three motivate action. Even so, the doer, the organs and activity, these are the three constituents of action. In the branch of knowledge dealing with the gunas or modes of Prakriti, knowledge and action as well as the doer have been declared to be of three kinds according to the guna which predominates in each. Hear them too duly from me. That by which man perceives one imperishable divine existence as undivided and equally present in all individual beings, know that knowledge to be sattvika. The knowledge by which man cognizes many existences of various kinds, as apart from one another in all beings, know that knowledge to be rajasika. Again, that knowledge which clings to one body as if it were the whole, and which is irrational, has no real grasp of truth and is trivial, has been declared as tamasika. That action which is ordained by the scriptures and is not accompanied by the sense of doership, and has been done without any attachment or aversion by anyone who seeks no return, is called sattvika. That action, however, which involves much strain and is performed by one who seeks enjoyments or by a man full of egotism, has been spoken of as rajasika. That action which is undertaken through sheer ignorance, without regard to consequences or loss to oneself, injury to others, and one's own resourcefulness, is declared as tamasika. Free from attachment, unegoistic, endowed with firmness and zeal, and unswayed by success and failure, such a doer is said to be sattvika. The doer who is full of attachment, seeks the fruits of actions and is greedy, and who is oppressive by nature and of impure conduct, and who feels joy and sorrow, has been called rajasika. Lacking piety and self-control, uncultured, arrogant, deceitful, inclined to rob others of their livelihood, slothful, despondent, and procrastinating, such a doer is called tamasika. Now hear, Arjuna, the threefold division based on the predominance of each guna, of understanding, that is buddhi, and firmness, that is dhriti, which I shall explain in detail one by one. The intellect, which correctly determines the paths of activity and renunciation, what ought to be done and what should not be done, what is fear and what is fearlessness, and what is bondage and what is liberation, that intellect is sattvika. The intellect by which man does not truly perceive what is dharma and what is adharma, what ought to be done and what should not be done, that intellect is rajasika. The intellect wrapped in ignorance, which imagines even adharma to be dharma and sees all other things upside down, that intellect is tamasika, Arjuna. The unwavering perseverance by which man controls through the yoga of meditation the functions of the mind, the vital airs, and the senses, that firmness, Arjuna, is sattvika. The perseverance or dhriti, however, by which the man seeking reward for his actions clutches with extreme fondness, virtues, earthly possessions, and worldly enjoyments, that perseverance or dhriti is said to be rajasika, Arjuna. The perseverance or dhriti by which an evil-minded person does not give up sleep, fear, anxiety, sorrow, and vanity, that perseverance is tamasika. Now hear from me the threefold joy too, that in which the striver finds enjoyment through practice of adoration, meditation, and service to God, etc., and whereby he reaches the end of sorrow. Such a joy, though appearing as poison in the beginning, tastes like nectar in the end. Hence, that joy, born as it is of the placidity of mind brought about by meditation on God, has been declared as sattvika. The delight which ensues from the contact of the senses with their objects is eventually poison-like, though appearing at first as nectar. Hence, it has been spoken of as rajasika. That which stupefies the self during its enjoyment as well as in the end, derived from sleep, indolence, and obstinate error, such delight has been called tamasika. There is no being on earth, or in the middle region, or even among the gods or anywhere else, who is free from these three gunas born of Prakriti. The duties of the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, and the Vaishyas, as well as of the Shudras, have been assigned according to their innate modes of Prakriti or gunas, Arjuna. Subjugation of the mind and senses, enduring hardships for the discharge of one's sacred obligations, external and internal purity, forgiving the faults of others, straightness of mind, senses, and behavior, belief in the Vedas and other scriptures, God and life after death, etc., study and teaching of the Vedas and other scriptures, and realization of the truth relating to God, all these constitute the natural duties of a Brahmana. Heroism, majesty, firmness, diligence, and dauntlessness in battle, bestowing gifts and lordliness, all these constitute the natural duty of a Kshatriya. Agriculture, rearing of cows, and honest exchange of merchandise, these constitute the natural duty of a Vaishya or a member of the trading class, and service of the other classes is the natural duty of a Shudra or a member of the laboring class. Keenly devoted to his own natural duty, man attains the highest perfection in the form of God realization. Here the mode of performance whereby the man engaged in his inborn duty reaches that highest consummation, from whom all beings come into being, and by whom the whole universe is pervaded. By worshipping him through the performance of his own natural duties, man attains the highest perfection. Better is one's own duty, though devoid of merit, than the duty of another well performed. For performing the duty ordained by his own nature, man does not incur sin. Therefore, Arjuna, one should not relinquish one's innate duty, even though it has a measure of evil. For all undertakings are beset by some evil, as is the fire covered by smoke. He whose intellect is unattached everywhere, whose thirst for enjoyment has altogether disappeared, and who has subdued his mind, reaches through Sankhya Yoga, or the path of knowledge, the consummation of actionlessness. Arjuna, know from me only briefly the process through which man, having attained actionlessness, which is the highest consummation of Jnana Yoga, or the path of knowledge, reaches Brahma. Endowed with a pure intellect and partaking of a light, sattvika, and regulated diet, living in a lonely and undefiled place, having rejected sound and other objects of sense, having controlled the mind, speech, and body by restraining the mind and senses, through firmness of a sattvika type, taking a resolute stand on dispassion, having completely got rid of attraction and aversion, and remaining ever devoted to the yoga of meditation, having given up egotism, violence, arrogance, lust, anger, and luxuries, devoid of the feeling of meum and tranquil of heart, such a man becomes qualified for oneness with Brahma, who is truth, consciousness, and bliss. Established in identity with Brahma, who is truth, consciousness, and bliss solidified, and cheerful in mind, the Sankhya Yogi, who no longer grieves nor craves for anything, the same to all beings, such a yogi attains supreme devotion to me. Through that supreme devotion, he comes to know me in reality, what and who I am, and thereby knowing me truly, he merges into my being. The Karma Yogi, however, who depends on me, attains by my grace the eternal imperishable state, even though performing all actions. Mentally dedicating all your actions to me and taking recourse to yoga in the form of even-mindedness, be solely devoted to me and constantly fix your mind on me. With your mind thus devoted to me, you shall, by my grace, overcome all difficulties. But if from self-conceit you do not care to listen to me, you will be lost. If, taking your stand on egotism, you think, I will not fight, vain is this resolve of yours. Nature will drive you to the act. That action too, which you are not willing to undertake through ignorance, you will perforce perform, bound by your own duty, born of your nature. Arjuna, God abides in the heart of all creatures, causing them to revolve according to their karma by his elusive power or maya, as though mounted on a machine. Take refuge in him alone with all your being, Arjuna. By his mere grace, you will attain supreme peace and the eternal abode. Thus has this wisdom, the most profound secret of all secret knowledge, been imparted to you by me. Deeply pondering over it, now do as you like. Hear again my supremely profound words, the most esoteric of all truths, as you are extremely dear to me. Therefore, I shall give you this salutary advice for your own good. Give your mind to me, be devoted to me, worship me and bow to me. Doing so, you will come to me alone. I truly promise you, for you are exceptionally dear to me. Resigning all your duties to me, the all-powerful and all-supporting Lord, take refuge in me alone. I shall absolve you of all sins, worry not. This secret gospel of the Gita should never be imparted to a man who lacks in austerity, nor to him who is wanting in devotion, nor even to him who is not willing to hear, and in no case to him who finds fault with me. He who, offering the highest love to me, preaches the most profound gospel of the Gita among my devotees, shall come to me alone. There is no doubt about it. Among men, there is none who does me a more loving service than he, nor shall anyone be dearer to me on the entire globe than he. Whosoever studies this sacred dialogue of ours in the form of the Gita, by him too shall I be worshipped with yajna of knowledge. Such is my conviction. The man who listens to the Holy Gita with reverence, being free from malice, he too, liberated from sin, shall reach the propitious worlds of the virtuous. Have you, O Arjuna, heard this gospel of the Gita attentively? And has your delusion born of ignorance been destroyed, O Dhananjaya, conqueror of riches? Arjuna said, Krishna, by your grace my delusion has been destroyed and I have gained wisdom. I am free of all doubt. I will do your bidding. Sanjaya said, Thus I heard the mysterious and thrilling conversation between Sri Krishna and the high-souled Arjuna, son of Kunti. Having been blessed with the divine vision by the grace of Sri Vyasa, I heard in person this supremely esoteric gospel from the Lord of Yoga, Sri Krishna himself, imparting it to Arjuna. Remembering over and over that sacred and mystic conversation between Bhagwan Sri Krishna and Arjuna, O King, I am thrilled again and yet again. Remembering also again and again that most wonderful form of Sri Krishna, great is my wonder and I am thrilled over and over again. Wherever there is Bhagwan Sri Krishna, the Lord of Yoga, and wherever there is Arjuna, the wielder of the Gandiva bow, goodness, victory, glory, and unfailing righteousness will surely be there. Such is my conviction. Thus, in the Upanishad sung by the Lord, the science of Brahma, the scripture of Yoga, the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, ends the 18th chapter entitled The Yoga of Liberation through the Path of Knowledge and Self-Surrender.